Today we're joined by one of the younger voices shaking things up here in the trades, Dominic Furnback.
American made and American built.
You know, you're a young boss in a very old school trade.
Not everyone needs seasoned technicians. Me personally, I don't need an old dog who knows no tricks. That was a heater of a question. We're from Jersey. If you don't have your crew, you ain't got nobody. I'm like, if you're around 5 bums your whole life, you're going to end up being the 6th. And we bond over one thing, and that's HVAC, you know?
And whiskey. Hey guys, welcome to The Dispatch, where job site legends get the mic. Join me every other Thursday as I sit down with the biggest names in the trades to find out what's really happening to keep America running. So whether you're on the road or in the garage beer in hand, settle in for a great conversation. I'm Ryan Prosser, and this is The Dispatch. Welcome back to The Dispatch, where job site legends get the mic. Today we're joined by one of the younger voices shaking things up here in the trades, Dominic Furnback, CEO of Elite Service Group and host of the Unfiltered podcast. So Dominic, you started your company in your 20s. I think you might still be in your 20s, but you are one of the younger voices in this movement for sure. You've been across residential, light commercial, refrigeration. And one of the things I love most about your voice is you're a young boss in a very old school trade. So I'm very excited to get into it with you today. Thanks for being on The Dispatch, Dom.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Ryan. I really appreciate it. So I basically started this journey when I was 16 years old, just basically getting educated in the trade. As many stories go in this trade, your father pushes you into it. And you kind of don't have a choice. I went to trade school, followed by trade college. I went to the University of Northwestern Ohio. It's one of the only colleges in the country that actually focus on trades and college degrees. So I kind of went there, got a fantastic education. Shortly after that, I got into the commercial refrigeration field. And I kind of fell out of love with the trade a little bit because here in New Jersey and New York, in our tri-state area, unions are very big and powerful here. There was a lot of politics involved, and I just wasn't jiving with it. It wasn't very competitive. It was kind of just show up, do your 9 to 5, go home, whatever you do, come back to work the next day. So I ended up trying carpentry for a little bit. And one day, I tell the story all the time. I was cutting a piece of wood, and the guy I was working for, he's like, "This isn't right. It's not the right angle. You have to cut it 1/4 of an inch shorter." And I dropped the tools, threw my hands in the air, and I'm like, why did I just do 9 years worth of training and work in one field and then try to jump into another? I hopped back in the field. I started working for a residential non-union company and fell back in love with what we do for a living. I got laid off from that company. So I said to myself, I'm like, look, buddy, you're 25 years old. You have a wealth of knowledge. You're in this 13 years now, whatever it was. And I'm like, what are you going to do? You're going to go work for somebody else, or are you going to try something on your own? And I fell in love with it.
Very cool. I mean, so man, you covered a lot of ground there, a lot to dig into for the audience, I'll say. So I met Dom at AHR. If you work in the HVAC space and you've never been to AHR, boy, you missed a good one this last year. But man, this is a cool show and a lot of cool people. Nobody, I would say, cooler than you guys. So we had you guys at so this show, of course, is sponsored by FieldMind. FieldMind had a, kind of a whiskey event for people in the trades, which was pretty much everybody at the show. So if you like HVAC, you like whiskey, you like FieldMind too, you just don't know it yet. This episode is brought to you by FieldMind, built for the hands that keep America running. FieldMind gives your field service techs ready access to technical documentation, service history, and your team's best tribal knowledge right where they are, in the field. FieldMind is the tool for field service techs. Learn more at fieldmind.com. But you guys rolled in looking like the Rat Pack from the 50s with the black suits, and so I got to say, man, game recognized game on that. But Um, we haven't really had much of a voice on the show so far talking about this union angle. So I'd love to hear more about that. Like I know that was that first chapter and you moved on quickly, but give us a little bit of flavor for that, and speak specifically to younger people coming up in the trades. What should they be on the lookout for and know about your experience?
I absolutely will. It's a fantastic topic. So you mentioned us rolling up like the Rat Pack from the 50s, right? As you know, the tri-state area, it's kind of just our culture, right? We like looking good, showing up in force and numbers. It has a lot, it gives its own presence, you know what I'm saying? You get a feeling when you and the boys are rolling out and going to have a night, talk some business and enjoy yourselves, right?
Right.
Um, that's kind of how the Northeast really is. We're very fast paced. We're fast talking. We work faster than anybody in the country. You put a New Jersey or New York boy against anybody in the country when it comes to work, hands down, we'll take the cake. Um, as far as the unions go, I think let me start like this. The union is a very beautiful thought process. But over time and politics and people stepping in and people stepping on toes and all this other stuff, I personally feel, and I can't speak for everybody because there's people who have a fantastic life off of working with a union. I just noticed myself is that it breeds a very lazy, laid back style of working. And that's not who I personally am. I was standing there, and I'll tell you this, I graduated college. I was probably 19, 20, something like that. And I got out, I was in the union, and I'm standing around a bunch of guys that are like 40, 35. They're all miserable. They all smoke cigarettes. They move like snails. And my brain's going a million miles an hour at the time. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm looking around. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, if you're around five bums your whole life, you're going to end up being the sixth. At that moment, I kind of had a realization that maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe, there's like a seniority when it comes to being in the union. You have to pay respects to the older technicians. Let's just say Jerry has, 25 years of experience in the union, and I'm a young buck out of college, eager, willing to learn with a killer spirit. Me progressing in the past 5 years outpaces the experience that Jerry has had in the past 25 years because of my ambition and sheer willpower to get better at what I'm doing, right? I'm not there to just collect a paycheck. I'm
Hmm.
there to get better and eventually become the best at what I do. That's kind of how I personally believe, and I feel like anymore what I've been seeing, and I can't talk bad on the unions. There's been a lot of great gentlemen who brought me into that culture, and they're very successful and all these other things. It's not everybody, but I do see a breeding of a lazier technician like that, right? um, and that's where hopefully someday somebody offers me to be on a board of a union. Maybe I'll change the spirit of everything that's going on in the operation. But there was a point where I just said, you know what, that's not really me, and that's not really what I'm about. So that's kind of how it is. The unions are very tight knit and ran very well. Being union is like being in a gang. You mess with someone in your local, you're messing with me. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Right.
It's that type of hard knock attitude. You got Northern Jersey, New York guys there. I had one guy on a job site. We were union, and a non-union service company came to come service the store we were installing at. And this one guy, his name was Roger, an old cat. He's like, "Yo, Joe." I'm not going to say the name of the company. He's like, "Yo, they showed up. Should I take a pipe wrench and beat them over the head?" And Joe's like, "Yo, calm down, Roger, calm down." And in that moment, I'm like, "Yo, this is really turf war, some real stuff." You know what I mean?
In my career, I've never even been close to a union. So I don't, I've never been side by side in terms of like had that opportunity, should I, shouldn't I? So I'm not really speaking from a place of experience when I say this. I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off. Here's my hot take on it. They feel like it's for people that want protection against getting fired and are willing to give up, the upside of what comes from a lot of hustle and, ambition and trying to make something of yourself. I have always been kind of aligned with how you're feeling. Like, hey, I'll take the risk. This is America. I really want to put my shoulder into this thing and see what I can do. But I also get that like big industry has not been kind to the working man, and there's a lot of chapters that back up the fact that like the these groups are stronger together and so forth. So you guys can save the hate mail out there. I get it. I definitely get it. Dom gets it. But like, for people that are on the hustle, it's probably not the best path. I think that's your take as well.
And like I was saying, I'm not trying to like badmouth anybody or whatever else. Like I said, there's a lot of people who make fantastic careers out of these unions. I've I was so jealous one time. I was like 22. I was still working with the union, and there was an electrician, a guy my age on the job. He's driving a brand new like Raptor or it was the new Ram TRX at the time. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I'm like, that's an $80,000 truck. What are you doing right? He's like, I just stacked my chips. I'm like, that's fantastic.
I'm gonna throw another hot take out. This is really gonna piss people off. So the corner of the world that I live in, Montana, the truck culture out here really pushes trucks to the edge, and you really see what trucks are really made to rumble. And it's funny when you're at the most rugged trailheads. Again,
Hmm.
I know I'm gonna get hate mail from the Ford and the Chevy guys and the Dodge guys. Time and again, it's Toyota. Period. It's Tacoma and it's Tundra, mostly Tacoma, and more Subarus than y'all want to admit. But at the most rugged trailheads in the highest mountains, over and over and over, it's Toyota, and it just is.
I got something for you, Ryan.
What are we looking at?
American made, and American built. All right.
There,
I drive a Ford F-350 Power Stroke.
dude,
You
dude.
can keep that to yourself.
We're definitely gonna blur that out. I love it. So I'll just say, F-350, those are towing machines.
No,
Like some of the trucks out there they're built different. They are built to tow 50 cows across the country or do workhorse work. Like the F-350, they're no joke. No Toyota does not make an equivalent for the F-350, no question. But I'm just saying, if you want to get to those like hardest trailheads, at some point you have to have a Wrangler, but it's Toyotas over and over.
I listen. My dad had a Toyota when I was learning to drive. He had a Toyota Tacoma. That truck ran up 400,000 miles. I drove that thing across country with 250,000 miles, and it didn't stop. So I kind of understand your love and passion for that.
All right, folks at home. So this is a breakout session brought to you by Field Mind. What we want to know is, let's take a step back from HVAC. What type of truck are you? Okay, I'm not talking about what type of truck do you drive or wish you drove. What do you use for work? Nothing like that. I want to know, folks at home, out there in the radio, driving around at work. Dom and I want to know, what type of truck are you? Drop your comments below. All right, all right. What kind of truck am I? All right. So the pressure's on. Dom gets to go first, and he's probably going to say his own truck. So let me say this: I got talked out of buying a Power Wagon, and the arguments were strong. And the argument, frankly, was, look how many Dodges you pass on the trail up to the top of the mountain that didn't make it, and look
Yeah.
how many Toyotas populate the parking lot. Period. Like Toyotas. I mean, so. But in terms of what truck am I? Honestly, I think I'm a Tacoma. In my soul, I think I'm a Tacoma. I'm a certain type of Tacoma. If you met me in person, I'm a wiry guy, not the biggest guy in the world, but I'm out there. I can hang with anybody. I get it done. I'm versatile. Not super
You're
kid
you're like
friendly.
a silver Tacoma.
Yeah. What I'd like to, I'm one of those 90s era Tacomas when they still made them in the stick shift, but the long stick shift, so this,
Yes.
and they just wouldn't quit. And that's the part of me that I take the most pride in. I will not quit. I'll get it done, dude. If I blow half my cylinders, I'm still gonna get to
You're going.
work. Yeah. All right,
Love that.
Dom, to let the folks know, what kind of truck are you?
I'm going to say Ram TRX. I'm talking, a supercharged, V8 Hemi, 700 horsepower, just four-wheel drive trucking type of guy.
So you want to like you're the type of truck that can get away, that can like outrun cop cars on surface roads, right?
That's it.
Okay.
And non-surface roads.
And some non-surface roads. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna bring us back to HVAC so that I can pretend I work today. But bringing us back to to the trades. When you came back to HVAC, so you got laid off, you start your own thing. For folks at home, talk to me about the technical side of that, not the business side. Like once you're doing it yourself, how is it that you still had people to call, and what did you do? What do you do when you get stuck?
Okay, so I mean, it comes down to this: building fantastic relationships and never letting them fade, right? The technical stuff kind of just comes with who you are as a person. If you truly want to be a professional and you're not just looking for a job, or you're looking for a career and you're trying to pursue professionalism in it, I strongly believe in educating yourself, period. But more specifically within the trade, tech knowledge, relationship building. I have 50 plus HVAC professionals contacts in my phone, and I'll shoot them a text every once in a while, like, "Hey, brother, how you doing? How's everything going? How's work? Are you guys busy?" You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Typical HVAC shop talk. And I just keep those flames lit at the end of the day. And I try to just keep the spirit of HVAC like alive in myself at the end of the day. And, making great relationships with you guys, like when we were hanging out in Las Vegas. I'll never forget that night. You know what I'm saying? And I have nights like that with multiple other professionals in the field. And we bond over one thing, and that's HVAC, you know?
And whiskey.
And whiskey.
I,
Cheers to
I
that.
so I got a question for you on that. Yeah, cheers. I, you know, I've met a lot of different guys that run HVAC companies in this space, and it's funny. I would say in some like for example, this one person, I would say, oh, he's got a team. This one guy, I would say he's got a company. This one, he's got a whatever. You guys, the word that comes to mind is like crew. You're running a crew, and each one of those words, I can't even describe why they're different, but they are different. I sense that how they're different. Talk to me, like you're running a crew. You guys are a tight crew. The vibe that comes across is you mess with the elite guys. You're messing with all of them. You might get a wrench to the head. Like y'all are working hard, doing things the right way, but you also seem like a tight knit crew. Like, talk to me about that and what you're building over there with this company you've got.
So, what I'm kind of grasping out of this is like team building, right? Ha- We're from Jersey, right? There's nothing tighter than a crew in New Jersey, right? We're like all family. New Jersey's a very tight knit, the most densely populated state out there. You
Is
ain't
that
got
true?
yourself. Yes, it is. That's factual. You don't have everything's not spread out. Like if you don't have your crew, you ain't got nobody. This isn't Montana, right? This isn't,
Hey,
you
we
got
roll deep
miles.
too, bro. Go ahead, go ahead.
You don't have miles. My neighbor's only like a spitting distance away. So, me and the guys, it's all about culture and like what you're building at the end of the day.
Let me tell you, not every episode. Some episodes produce these shining, this like one like a moment of amazing wisdom. Well, and it's like, what? I loved it when you said, if you hang out with five bozos long enough, you're gonna be the sixth. Like, I don't know if that just popped into your head, but I'm gonna be saying that the rest of my life. You said it slightly differently. I said, you didn't say bozos, you said something else, but that was that I was like, oh my God, that is the most obviously true thing that I've ever heard. And if my
Yo,
parents would have said that when I was 12, I would have had different friends, if I had understood that.
I am so glad that whatever happened to me that day and it snapped, it is the truth. I think everyone should have that moment of realization because there's a moment in every young man, and I don't know about women because I'm not a woman, but every young man's life where they're like, all right, am I doing the right thing right now? And it kind of just clicks, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that was a very important moment in my life.
Well, it took me about twice as long as it took you. So, but you know what? We both got there, and that's all that matters. And guys, by the way, we're gonna. This is
That's
going
why
on.
you go toy. That's why you go Ram TRX over Toyota any day of the week, boys.
Well, see, my argument would be you got to be a Toyota so you live long enough to be able to see this wisdom be worth something. But
You
um,
probably will.
we're gonna see what the audience has got to say. I have a feeling. My prediction is that this audience skews pretty hardcore TRX. I think you're gonna do well. I think we're gonna see a lot of six-figure trucks get shout outs, but I think there's probably an undercurrent of support for like the old school, Tacomas with the stick shift that last forever and you can't kick them to death. I think we're gonna be like the dark horse that does well. We'll see.
I can't tell you I didn't have one because I absolutely did, and that thing wheeled like no other. Honestly, nothing wheeled harder than my Tacoma.
So this is a big share. You actually had one of the trucks I'm talking about.
Yes, yes, I did.
I love it.
Unfortunately, I do. I'd feel bad if I didn't admit that, but that was just a phase, you know.
Was a face. Yes. That's what everybody tried to tell me about if I bought a Dodge Power
And you're
Wagon.
just living in it.
Yeah. Everybody was saying, listen, you just had a kid. This is a phase. You are not a Dodge Power Wagon kind of guy. And I was like, how do you know what kind of guy I am? I like how they put the stripe on them now. Like, that's a cool
Yeah,
looking
I
truck,
think the
dude.
Power Wagons are kind of cool, you know?
Yeah. It even has a cool name. Like, it sounds like something a 4-year-old would want. But
Yes.
so, all right, we got to get to the audience questions, or else Susie is going to fire me. Susie, what do you got for us today from the audience?
Hey everyone, how are you? Before we get to the audience questions, we want to give a quick shout out to some of our listeners online. Big thanks this week to Jason on the job and Promise the HVAC tech. We really appreciate you guys being part of the community and supporting the dispatch. So yeah, let's do this. So, hey guys, this is Mark from Indiana. I heard you've got a young business owner coming on, and I'm curious about his take on all these AI tools popping up in the trade. From an owner's side, where do you actually see that stuff helping, and where is it just hype? No shade if you don't mind, just genuinely curious. So yeah.
Guys, I have a perfect rebuttal to this. I love that question. So, me personally, I'm building a very young team, and they don't know everything, neither do I. So, field mind comes into play like this, right? My one service technic calls me a million times a day because unfortunately he's just not catching on. You know what I did? I subscribed him to Field Nine. And now he barely calls me. He's always looking at the app because at the end of the day, most of the time when you're on service calls, it's very basic aha moments
Right,
that
right.
catch you. And that is when you start figuring out what you're actually doing and what's in front of you. At the end of the day, from a technician standpoint, you want somebody to just kind of talk you through what's going on in front of you, and I believe that's exactly what Field Mine is doing for you. So
That's what we built it for, and appreciate hearing that it's going that way for you. I've got a follow up question for you. So, Mark from Indiana, young business owner like yourself, what type of truck do we think he drives?
his name's Mark.
And he lives in Indiana, and he owns a small
Oh,
HVAC business.
I
All right,
already know the answer. It's a Chevy.
he's driving a Chevy. All right, what? Like, tell us a little bit more. But he's got a sensible older model truck, or is this one of those guys I see that's like clearly like financing this thing? He's driving way too nice of a truck with way too much chrome.
Well, listen, if I know my guys from Indiana, they're not financing nothing. Okay. He's driving like a 2006 Chevy with a nice cap on it, you know. Mark's absolutely killing it in his 2006 Chevy.
Okay.
Was I on or no?
I don't know. I don't know, Mark. We're gonna need you to weigh in the comments. All right. So, Mark, in the comments, you got to let us know. He's probably gonna be like, guys, I drive a Corolla. Guy, like you're way off. In the interest of time, let's take one more question from the audience. We only got time for one. Susie, what do you got for us?
Okay, hey guys, this is Luis from Texas. I'm coming up in the trade, but it seems like every company is only hiring experienced techs. My question is, how is a new guy supposed to get real field experience if nobody wants to take a chance on training someone from the ground up?
Well, Ryan, honestly, Luis, that was a heater of a question. Luis, personally, I'm from New Jersey, so Texas is a little different, obviously. I do have to say, me personally, I'm building a very young team. I don't care about your experience. What I personally care about is your internal drive and who you are as a person. And if you want to become better and take this on as a career and become a professional, right? Your experience has nothing to do with your hiring process as long as you're a go getter. And I'll give you an example. Once I fell out of love with the trade after the union and all that other stuff I was telling you earlier, and I started doing carpentry, and I said, screw that. I applied for a job at a residential light commercial company, and I was like, my girlfriend at the time, she's like, why don't you apply to a couple other places, babe? I'm like, no, I want to work at SBS. But this and that. I'm like, no, I want to work at SBS. The next day, I got a phone call from the manager at the company that I wanted to work at. And I ended up showing up to the interview. I wore the nicest suit you've ever seen, took it super professionally. I was walking up to the door, and I didn't know this at the time. There's a bald dude walking up at the same time as me to the front door of the building. It's a large building, Luis. And he's wearing like a sweatshirt. And he's like, hey, how you doing? I'm Sal. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm Dominic. And it shook his hand. And he opened the door for me and everything like that. I walk in. I start talking to the manager. I sit down with him. At the end of the day, the conversation went phenomenal. On the spot, he asked me, when can I start? And then I ended up finding out that guy that I met at the door was the owner of the whole entire operation. And I'm talking like a $20 million company at the time. So it all has to do with your ambition, your drive, how you present yourself. And at the end of the day, what your future looks like in this field. And becoming a professional.
It sounds like, if I could say it back to you maybe in a slightly different way, I love the story, and then as you're talking about the team you're building out, um, you're specifically looking for young guys. And I'll say to Luis, one of the things that I hear a lot is, a lot of people that own medium size or smaller companies are specifically looking for kind of greenhorn type guys that they can train in their way, that don't come in with a lot of bad habits or whatever. They've learned things in a different way. They really are. And so, maybe what you're saying, if I'm hearing it right, is go specifically seek out maybe a shop, medium or smaller, that's looking for green people that they can train in their way. Is that kind of in line with what you're thinking?
Go try to find somebody who's looking for someone like you, somebody who fits the description, right? if you're eager, you're outgoing, you're trying to just kill it in the game, you're the type of guy, just like I was, who's like taking your tools out of your hand or like, doing the extra mile, doing things that nobody has to ask you to do, but you just know instinctively like this needs to be done to get the job done. If you're that type of guy, go shoot for somebody who's looking for an all-star. Not everyone needs seasoned technicians. Me personally, I don't need an old dog who knows no tricks. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, we didn't close the loop. Luis definitely drives a King Ranch Ford. So it's a 20-year-old. It's white and it's got like gold trim King Ranch Ford, no question in my
Yeah, I
mind.
love that.
But thinking back on your on your career, the success you've had, this career building looks like a hell of a lot of fun. What's a time recently where you said to yourself, "Man, this is why I'm doing this"?
Ryan, unfortunately, I'm going to sound very pompous right now, but we have those moments every single goddamn day. We're high fiving each other. We're celebrating. Guys are closing deals that are years out from closing deals, making these fantastic connections. All the guys, man. I mean, they're just every single day just getting better, including myself. And I just make it a point to like really highlight those moments, give a fat high five, and just absolutely celebrate every time we have the little wins, because it's very important, because the little wins all add up to one fantastic, giant, grandiose win at the end of the day. So we have a lot of wins every single day. Shout out to Nick, for example. Nick's been running my social media now for 6 months. We just had our first video on YouTube hit over 100,000 views. I pay for no advertisement, nothing. It's just the sheer hard work and dedication that we have towards like what we're doing and just building that culture. When you come together as a pack, like you said, the Rat Pack, you're all working towards one greater good at the end of the day.
Let's do a cooler than cool breakout question brought to you by FieldMind. Dom, tell me what your take is. Folks at home, I really want to hear what your take is on this. You're in HVAC, you're working your butt off. I'm particularly interested for the people out there, running small, medium-sized HVAC companies. What is the thing in your mind? I was just talking with my colleague Dom here about why we do this. What is the thing in your mind that you're working so hard for? And I don't mean like the big bucks in the bank necessarily. For me, I'm a family man, care about my kids a lot, and I think I'll really feel like I've made it or whatever. And this isn't the big thing. I know people do this, but like I live in Montana, taking my kids to Disney World, which has gotten pretty expensive for the average family. That's a big one for me. Like that's definitely going to be my I've made it in the trades kind of deal. Dom, what's your take? And audience at home, post down in the chat below. I want to hear from you. What's the moment that you've had or that you're fighting to get towards this is why I work so hard in the trades. I know it's a monetary thing. There's a lot of different kinds of reward. Today we're talking about this one. Dom, what's your take?
I want to really encourage everybody in the comments, fire these off, right? Put it out into the world. What is your dream? What are you working so hard for? Because I put it on writing on paper every single day. At the end of the day, mine personally, it's nothing super extravagant. I just want to be able to be the guy who takes care of my family. I want my grandmother to be cooped up in the most beautiful home. I want my mother to be taken care of absolutely and utterly.
But I'm gonna interrupt you. Because otherwise the chat's gonna be full of take care of my family. You got to give me a specific thing that you can.
You
hold
want
in
a
your
really
hand.
fun moment?
Yeah, well, and it's got to be specific. You got to say, I want to do precisely this. Like I said, I want to take my kids to Disney World and really do it right. I want to stay in the Grand Floridian. And I'm not talking about shut Disney World down. I'm just saying, like, do it right. What's your very specific thing? Audience, same thing for you. More specific, the better.
Okay. So I'm going big here, Ryan. Um, I'll give you a verbatim. I want to take my family, which I don't have yet, on a private jet to a special destination in South America, and just have an absolute blast in a villa somewhere, and just look out with my whole entire family there. My grandmother's there, my mother's there, my father's there. And I just kind of want to look around and be like, you know what? This was all off of everything that I've done in the past couple years. And you know what? We're here. We finally made it. Everybody's having a blast, comfortable, and just having a great time. That's just kind of, I want to be him. You know what I'm saying? I want to be the guy to take care of the whole entire family.
Dom, I love it, man. I think that's a perfect place to bring it to a wrap. Thank you so much for being on the show today, brother.
Thank you guys for watching. I just want to say I appreciate what Ryan's doing here. It's an absolute movement. Guys, thank you for joining us. I'm Dominic from the Elite Service Group.
Thank you so much to the audience for listening. Join us again next time as we meet with another frontline tradesman out there keeping America running. Thanks for listening to The Dispatch. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with a friend in the field.